What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a great video today. We're going to be covering the best stocks for this week, and we have a lot of news with Elon Musk. He has been going crazy on Twitter all weekend with a lot of interesting tweets, which we'll cover in a couple minutes. But we have a great video today. We have a lot of great setups for this week. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe and let us know what stocks you are watching in the comments down below. There's a good chance we'll cover them in tomorrow's video. But Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, Twitter stock was exploding last week and then started falling off towards the end of the week. And I feel like Twitter's starting to fall down towards this $45 support, which I think might end up holding up this week. But as we can see here, Twitter stock has been going crazy over the past few weeks. And as we know, Elon Musk is now on Twitter's board and owns 9.2% of Twitter. So that's huge. But he was on Twitter all weekend, Mike, putting out polls and talking about different stuff that Twitter might be doing. And, you can see a whole bunch of different funny stuff here. Like he said, weather is fake. I've seen the Truman Show and stuff like that. He's been saying a lot of funny tweets, but in the end, he also had some pretty serious stuff going on. So he did say that pretty much he's going to look to update Twitter Blue so that whoever pays like $3 a month will end up getting an authentication check mark. Apparently that Blue already has something where you can have a 20-second timer to modify your tweet. I know he also talked about being able to edit your tweets as well. So that's going to be another feature that maybe comes. But the big thing, Mike, that I saw that's going to affect Twitter, as he said, and no ads. The power of corporations to dictate policy is greatly enhanced if Twitter depends on advertising money to survive. So I think what Elon Musk is trying to do here, Mike, is he's trying to make Twitter like a monthly subscription service, almost like a Netflix or something like that. That way, Twitter doesn't have to rely on its ad revenue. So Twitter might be able to update its algorithms to maybe help freedom of speech and to help things like that, rather than just making the algorithm as beneficial to the monetary policy as possible.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing Elon Musk is trying to change is he just wants free speech on Twitter, and I think that's part of the reason he became such a large shareholder of Twitter. And I think he's just like throwing around ideas out there on different ways to give or just take away a lot of the power from the corporations. Because when you see how much of Twitter's revenue comes from advertising, obviously the people who are buying those ads, a lot of them are major corporations. And if they're such a large source of Twitter's revenue, they have a large influence on how Twitter works. So I really think Elon's just trying to kind of take away some of the power from these large corporations and, think of other ways to generate revenue to make up for that lost revenue and just get free speech back on the platform.
Yeah, I think so too. And I hope it happens because, we've been waiting for like free speech to come into Twitter for a while now. As we know, Twitter likes to, obviously Trump's been banned on there. And then there's been other people that have been kind of like shadow banned and stuff like that as well. But what was interesting, Mike, is he's been putting out a bunch of polls. And, one of the things he says here is convert Twitter's San Francisco headquarters to a homeless shelter since nobody shows up anyways. I guess I'll vote yes in the poll. Looks like it got 91.2% of upvotes. But it's interesting, Mike. I'm glad he's doing this because I feel like with him coming out and doing this, it's obviously going to help free speech come back, like you said. But I also feel like it's just going to make social media more enjoyable for everybody because as we know, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other platforms pretty much have been, they've been really restrictive lately, to say the least. So if Twitter at least cuts back on some of their restrictions and stuff, it'll definitely make things better. And it was kind of funny because Elon Musk was kind of trolling Michael Burry here for shorting Tesla. So you can see if I scroll down, you can see Michael Burry's tweet. He said, "Interesting. My last tweet with a blue check mark was this one whenever he said, of course, Elon Musk buying enough shares to control Twitter would be good for America, period." That was back on April 5th. Elon told him, he said, "You'll get it back even though you shorted Tesla, you bastard." So it's pretty funny to see Elon kind of trolling Michael Burry on Twitter. And it looks like Michael Burry reactivated his Twitter account. I know he had closed it down a while ago.
You never know what Elon will tweet.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's crazy. And, it's kind of awesome, Mike, because it kind of, I feel like he's really relatable compared to most CEOs. And, with him doing stuff with Twitter like this, I think it's just going to help his popularity grow even more.
Awesome. So let's look at Twitter stock a little bit since we've been talking about it so much. Like you said, it was falling down earlier in the video. It exploded up right when it was announced that Elon has been buying in. What are like the most important levels you're seeing with Twitter over like the next couple weeks?
So Twitter exploded last week and it popped above $50 a share. I will say I think $50 will be a pretty good resistance in the short term. I'm also seeing 52 and then 54 as pretty good resistance levels also. But as far as like short-term levels, as we start falling down this week, I think 45 is going to be huge. There's been a lot of bounces around $45. I'm probably going to add a price level right there. But if we do touch 45 and start moving back up, maybe Monday morning, I think Twitter has a pretty good chance to go back on the uptrend, Mike, because, it had a lot of explosive movement with Elon in the beginning and it popped above $40. So as we start to maybe consolidate, I do feel like Twitter has a good chance to come back up this week, especially with Elon keeping the headlines there, because I feel like that with him like trolling Michael Burry and putting out all these polls, it's just going to bring more attraction into the stock. So we'll have to see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe had a nice support bounce and a nice second leg up.
Alrighty, good to know. And then let's also cover Tesla. This stock has also been doing very well over the past month or so. The past week was pretty rough though, as not only Tesla, but a lot of other stocks fell in a pretty big way. So looking at Tesla, I see we're getting very, very close to that critical $1,000 level. Right now the stock's at $1,025. 1,000 is a huge psychological level. So what are you seeing with Tesla's most important levels for this week?
Yeah, 1,000 is going to be huge. And what I'm really looking at, Mike, is this trend line on Tesla here. So we can see that on the chart, Tesla has been really flying up the past couple of weeks. Tesla pretty much went straight up from 750 all the way up to highs of like 1,150. So that is some pretty big movement there. And you're right. As we start to fall back down, $1,000 is going to be huge this week. Even 1,020 from last week, kind of where we consolidated on Friday, was a huge level also. So as we look at this, Tesla's going to be consolidating, Mike, at this huge $1,000 support, but it's also going to be straddling this blue trend line. And we can see this trend line has had a lot of bounces over the past couple of years with Tesla. If we go back even further, it's had even more bounces, but it's just interesting because it's going to be right on this support, right on the trend line. And we're getting some good news with Elon. So hopefully we see a nice pop with Tesla. I would love to see it, Mike. But I think the main thing with Tesla is maybe going to be that overall tech sector, because last week, like on Friday, we saw Apple, Microsoft, and other stocks like that start to fall down. And I feel like Tesla obviously might move to the downside if these other big tech stocks drag it down.
All right, there we go. And then Tom, also, what are like the top stocks that we have to watch for this week? Like I know there's earnings season kind of ramping back up. I know the big tech stocks are not reporting just yet, but I know a lot of bank stocks are.
Yeah, there's a lot of big banks reporting, Mike. It's going to be huge this week. And we also have some airlines sprinkled in, or at least Delta. So that's going to be big. But as we can see, CarMax reports on Tuesday. That might be pretty big because obviously used car prices have been crazy lately. But the big stuff is going to be Wednesday. Like you said, Mike, big banks. We have JP Morgan and then Delta Airlines on Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to have Taiwan Semiconductors, which is big, but then we're going to have Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Citi, and Morgan Stanley. So definitely Wednesday and Thursday are going to be the two biggest days this week, Mike. As we go down, there's even bigger ones like Rite Aid, PNC, Ally. So lots of banks reporting, even Ericsson at the very bottom. I know that's been pretty big with commodities lately. So definitely keep these ones on the radar. But Mike, like some of these things like Delta Airlines and the banks have been having some pretty crazy movement. Like Delta Airlines started falling down last week. And I know if we go look at like JP Morgan, especially on a daily chart, it's been pulling back a ton lately from highs.
Yeah, very, very true. And then Tom, what else do we have on the schedule for this week in terms of like the economic calendar?
Yeah, we actually have the CPI data coming out this week, which is going to be big. Well, as we know, the core inflation numbers have been very important to look at lately. And as we can see, they're looking to have like a forecast of 6.7%. We're going to have to see how it comes in. The previous one came in at 6.4%. So if we do see this growing, which is expected, then, I think the market might take a bit of a hit on Tuesday morning in pre-market, but we'll have to see how the numbers end up coming out because as we know, Mike, just because the number comes out and maybe beats expectations just slightly doesn't necessarily mean the market's going to go up or down just because of that. But, as we know, it's kind of like a coin flip with these events. But, I will say, though, that the inflation rate has been very important lately and it's been growing. And it's one of the big factors that the Feds look at. So I think it'll be pretty big for the markets Tuesday before open there.
There we go. And then, Tom, let's check out the SPY really quickly. What are the main levels to watch for tomorrow?
Yeah, this is pretty cool, Mike. So the SPY, as it starts to fall down here, we kind of double bottom last week right around the 444 support. So 444 has had a lot of bounces in the past. So as we look at the SPY, 444 will be a really good level to look at as support. I'm also seeing 446 as a good intraday support if you guys are looking to day trade the SPY. But there's also a good resistance, Mike. So up here at the top, right around 450 to 451, there is some major resistance. Obviously, on Thursday and Friday, we failed to break out up above 451, so we got rejected a couple times. So if we do see a nice breakout, who knows? The SPY might start running up maybe towards like 454 or 456. And if we do see these big tech stocks like Apple and Microsoft continue to sell off, I think the SPY might end up breaking below that 444 support, but we'll have to see what happens because it did form a nice range there on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
All right, there we go. So before we move on, I want to give a giant shout out to our member of the day, WizKid661. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord chat so far. I know you're a new member, but thanks for being a great member of the Discord chat. So Tom and I really appreciate you. Shout out WizKid661. And Tom, let's get right into these momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Roblox to the downside.
Yeah, poor Roblox just keeps selling off here. Go ahead and make them break below 42.55.
Right, with the next one, we have Teladoc also to the downside.
Yeah, Teladoc here. Go ahead and make them break below 65.70. They almost triple bottomed here on Friday.
Right, and with the last one, we have Bank of America to the upside.
Yeah, hopefully these earnings with banks go good this week. Go ahead and make Bank of America break above $40.10.
Right, so we're watching Bank of America for a potential day trade to the upside tomorrow, only if it breaks above the level Tom listed. And we are watching Teladoc and Roblox for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels Tom listed. But Tom, do you have any favorite setups or anything you were specifically watching in the market for this week?
Yeah, I'm really keeping my eye on these commodities, Mike, because, this Russia situation is not going away anytime soon. There's tons of articles still coming out on CNBC that show Russian war crimes. And, on Friday, Russia hit a railway station, ended up killing like 50 people and injuring almost 100. And these are mostly civilians. It's not like these are soldiers or anything like that. You can see there's some pretty gruesome pictures here. Honestly, I don't want to see the pictures, but, obviously it's a bad situation and these commodities are still going up. Like Oxy is up 7% on Friday, Mike. And if we look at it on the 1 year daily, it's approaching that high up there around 63.25. We can see Exxon Mobil's approaching its high, and then Chevron is also running up there. So, these commodities are still hot and it looks like they're back on the uptrend. So we'll have to see what happens, but I'm definitely going to watch oil for maybe some day trades because they're definitely having a lot of movement. And I can't forget about gold and silver either because gold is starting to really rise, especially GLD off this 180 support. I really like the setup out of some of these metals right now. Like I said, GLD is probably my favorite, but even going and looking at like silver with SLV, they're actually forming a really good support around 22.50 as well. So honestly, I think these commodities might do well as long as the Russian news stays in the headlines.
Alrighty. And then inflation too, Tom. If inflation comes in a lot hotter than expected, that could also boost up gold, silver, and a lot of other commodities.
Yeah, big time. That's going to be huge this week as well with that CPI data coming out. And, as we know, the Feds have been talking about raising rates and stuff. And if that data comes in worse than expected, I could definitely see gold starting to fly up.
Right, there we go. Guys, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot has been on fire lately. It calls out daily option day trades every single day. It's been doing very, very well. A lot of these plays have been popping for over 30, 40, and 50%. One of the best plays over the past couple of weeks was on March 24th with DAL. That play popped for 68% in a couple hours. Basically, if you trade options, we have an awesome program. Daily options, day trades, swing trades. You can chat with Tom and myself. You get access to a private community. You get access to a lot of custom bots you won't find anywhere else. And it's just a great platform. Basically, you can cancel at any time. We have a coupon running. And yeah, it's awesome. Daily options, day trades from our bot that's been doing great lately. So definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and let's have a great week.